with us this morning and speaking to Canadian manufacturers and exporters about the importance of manufacturing in, I guess, an increasingly volatile economic climate, it would seem. Prior to entering politics, you were heavily involved in business. You ran a very successful small business, the Economic Club of Canada, as well as ran certain business endeavors, helping businesses do business overseas and around the world. We don't have a lot of people in Parliament today with such strong business backgrounds. So what do you find to be the predominant differences between life as a businessman and as an MP?
Well, it's a really good question, but first, just before I answer that, just let me tell you that congratulations to the CME for doing these interviews with members of Parliament. This is very valuable, and I know it will be to a lot of the constituents who I know are in my riding, who will be seeing this video. It's so important for business leaders to see firsthand what our politicians are doing and to see how the public policy process works so they can have a hand in helping us design the right kind of policy so we have the right sort of business environment that's conducive to investment and creating jobs. But having said all of that, just let me tell you, as a business person myself and coming from that background, I've always loved business and I've always loved public policy. And about 10 years ago, I was thinking, how do I put those two concepts together to create a business? And I came up with the idea of the Economic Club of Canada. And the concept behind it was to create a platform, not just another speaker's podium, there's lots of those out there, but to create a platform whereby senior policymakers and business leaders could come and announce policy, make important speeches on very last minute notice. So typically it would be 24 to 48 hours. So having that background helps me a lot in what I do here today in Parliament. It focuses the mind, I find. And particularly being on Finance Committee, when I see witnesses come before us during pre-budget consultations in particular, I understand where they're coming from when they say, we have too much red tape, taxes are too high. Please help us focus more on our business so we can concentrate more there, and so we can create jobs and help build our great Canadian economy. So it helps me to empathize more closely with the stakeholders out there who I speak to on a regular basis, being on Finance Committee and being in public life right now.
And so your riding, York Centre, and I guess the GTA, is really a hotbed of manufacturing prosperity, really on a world stage. You have some of our biggest members, actually, Sanofi Pasteur and Bombardier, have operations in your riding. So what have you sort of seen the government do during your tenure so far that has been beneficial to these and other manufacturers?
Well, you're so right about manufacturing being so prevalent in the riding of York Centre. You mentioned a few. We've got Bombardier, which employs 4,000 people directly and 9,000 people indirectly. The largest private sector manufacturing employer in the GTA. You mentioned Sanofi Pasteur. We have a large number of manufacturers in York Centre who employ a lot of people. We have begun to reduce red tape. We lowered corporate taxes to 15%, which is the lowest in the G8 right now. And what we found was when we lowered the taxes down to 15%, we found an increase in the amount of tax that was being collected. Because what we found after we lowered the tax was that there was greater investment. There was more job creation. So there were more taxes being paid through the general economy as a result of the lower taxes. And we have to look at what the international organizations are saying about this. You know, it's not just our government that is saying we've created 840,000 net new jobs in July 2009. That's all true. But what the international organizations are saying, the World Economic Forum has said Canada has the strongest financial system over the last 5 years. Forbes magazine has said Canada has the best business environment and is the best place to be doing business of any G8 country right now. The OECD just 2 weeks ago said that Canada will have the strongest economy going forward in the next 50 years, that we are laying the best foundation of any industrialized and developing country. So we'll have the strongest economy, one of the strongest economies, over the next 50 years. What we're doing here in Canada is just trying to create jobs, growth, and long-term prosperity through laying a strong economic foundation, being fiscally prudent, paying down our deficit and ultimately our debt, and through that creating jobs so people can lead high-quality lives here in Canada.
And you mentioned the Finance Committee, which you're on, I guess, since you were elected as an MP. Arguably one of the government's most powerful committees, and one in which our CEO, Jason Myers, as well as some of our members, and obviously individual citizens, have met with. What have you sort of experienced or witnessed in the committee that might be of interest to our membership?
Well, what we've seen in the committee, and we enjoy always having Jason come, because the CME has so many members, and I always enjoy asking Jason about what are his members saying? What are the members of the CME saying? Because these are the businesses, these are the places where the rubber hits the road. And we can learn a whole lot about our economic policy by speaking and getting input from people like Jason Myers. So whenever he appears, I look forward to that session. Our government has put in place a lot of programs through the Small Business Hiring Tax Credit, which has benefited 540,000 small businesses in our country. Small business, as you know, is really the generator of jobs in this country. Small businesses ultimately become medium-sized and then large. And so we want to do as much as possible to help those small businesses grow, and they're the backbone of our economy. We've also put in place the SR&ED tax credit, which has helped numbers of companies expand and create jobs and create prosperity in our country. We have negotiated 9 free trade agreements since 2006. We have 50 more that we're negotiating right now.
So it seems like a lot of the CME's asks, such as investment in innovation, skills, technology, are being really reflected in this government's priorities.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You know, we're very well aware that we need to reduce red tape. We need to expand our innovation base, our technology base. We have a big manufacturing base in this country, and the manufacturing base is expanding. What we have to do, however, is we're not talking about the manufacturing jobs of the 50s and 60s. We're talking about high-valued jobs and manufacturers that are creating products that can be used for export.
Absolutely. Well, we certainly appreciate all your efforts and on behalf of the government in sort of executing some of these things and making sure they remain, top priorities for competitiveness and growing our sector in Canada. So thank you very much. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I just want to say that under our leadership of Prime Minister Stephen Harper, Canada has now got a great brand around the world, and we are recognized as a low-tax environment, an environment where businesses, international business, can come and invest and enjoy the stability of an educated workforce, of a workforce that is committed to building products that are sustainable and that are high value added. So through our free trade agreements, through our low tax environment, through our pro-business economic policy, we are creating an environment in this country that is second to none around the world. And I have to tell you that as a politician and member of parliament, as part of this government that is doing these wonderful things, I am very proud to be here today.
Very great. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.